Hello and welcome to the Barrel Roll Newscast for August 11th, 2018! Today on the show, we're talking more James Gunn. I know we promised not to, but too bad. More on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Star Trek 4 is a thing. More an update on the World of Warcraft storyline that we talked about last week. And last but not least, we're talking the Super Smash Bros. Direct. Stay tuned for all that and more! Hello and welcome everybody to the Barrel Roll Newscast. We're live, and my table is totally not disappearing. Oh no!
Oh god.
Now your table's disappearing. That's okay, we'll just put these over there. We'll call it a... here. There, cups. Welcome to the Barrel Roll Newscast, where we talk about news in movies and games from the past week. And other nerd assorted junk. I guess is the big shtick. Today is just movies and games. No no comics, no this, no that.
No that.
Oh, my shirt is partially see-through too.
Mine is too. I was just noticing that.
Ooh. Some of the letters, they're yellow. That's not green. Silly thing. Either way, let's get on to the news. So, first update, as usual, we're talking James Gunn. We've been talking James Gunn for quite some time.
It's a pretty big...
It's a big kerfuffle.
Yeah.
It really is. It's one of those things that, like, it kind of comes up and you go, oh, man. But either way, this current slew of stuff, as my dog drinks water right next to us. No, it's one of these ones. There we go. The current thing is Bautista started the week off by saying that he would not do the next, or he would ask to be released from his contract if they did not use the script written by James Gunn. So that would mean that Drax would be non-existent in the film.
Which would be a pretty big,
if they let him out of his contract.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the one piece, is would they let him out of his contract? I'm thinking it would be like, well, Mr. Bautista.
Yeah.
But then that would cause an even bigger kerfuffle.
Yeah. And it's publicity they don't want.
And that's really the shtick right now, is it's all publicity they don't want. So they did this entire shtick. They fired James Gunn because they were afraid of the media backlash.
Yeah.
They were afraid of what would happen if they said something.
Yeah.
Or if they didn't do anything, they're just like, fired! The media backlash has been the opposite of that.
Yes.
Now here's the biggest piece of everything that I finally read is Bob Iger, guy who runs Disney, went on vacation after the Fox acquisition. So he hasn't been there. So this was not him. This was one of his, like, underlings, essentially.
That just made this decision.
That fired James Gunn.
Yeah.
Now Bob Iger's back and there's meetings being had. So that's where the second piece of this news comes in, is Disney may use his script, but they also may hire him.
They may get him back for...
He might not direct this particular film, but he may come back into the fold of Disney. And, like, Disney's first thing was, we are cutting all business ties with James Gunn. Well, if they use his script, that's not cutting all ties.
Yeah, that's not cutting all ties.
And two, that's the next part, is like, whoa. Like... So, and again, the internet is in this big debate over...
They might have jumped the gun.
It's going to be a fun-filled show today. Either way, that is kind of the biggest shtick to all this is, yes, we might get James Gunn back. We might get his script. In my opinion, and then the other news piece is all these other movie studios are just waiting for this, like, him to be released from his contract, because he hasn't actually been released.
Yeah.
Like, they still had to have this meeting of, like, you know, okay, here's your severance, here's your this, because they still owe him a ton of money.
They still do.
So they did that, and then all these other movie studios are like
Like
lined up, ready.
I think they're ready.
Yeah, like we have contracts. Like
Yeah.
all of our numbers might be different, but like come to DC, please.
Yeah.
Come to our movie studio. Come to here. Like
Yeah, like DC would, I think,
would
do well with all their space stuff. Like he's
totally, and that's someone's like a Green Lantern Corps with
James
Gunn, or just let him go completely sideways and do something. Let him do a Suicide Squad type movie
or something. Yeah,
like a James Gunn Suicide Squad. All of a sudden, it's like, because they tried to go that direction with Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
The music and the kind of flashy colors here.
Yeah.
There. But then they stopped doing it partway through the movie. Like I think if you had someone like James Gunn on board, he'd be like, "No, this is the movie I'm making." Go away.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what happened with Guardians. Is he got free reign mostly on that Guardians film?
Yeah.
It's like
And
do what you
great.
will. Yeah. So I hope they use his script. I personally hope they use him.
Me too.
I know the internet is back and forth on this whole debate, but
are there more people who are for him?
it is very tough to tell.
Are there some that are like, no, it's good that Disney fired him?
So I've been trying to cover the gamut of like voice boxes, because I mean that's all social media is.
Yeah.
Is that nice echo room of like he's this, he's that, he's that. So even different subreddits I've been trying to hit. Twitter I've been trying to go on. Facebook is useless. So for my particular research, Facebook is completely and utterly useless.
Yeah.
So Facebook hasn't been of any help. But it seems very 50-50.
Oh, okay.
The people who, like, there's no petition to keep him or to keep him fired.
Yeah.
There is that lovely petition to rehire him that is upwards of 400,000 signatures now.
Wow.
And again, not that an online petition does a whole lot, but at least it does show a voice. It's like, hey,
this is what we think.
400,000 of us think you should rehire him. The cast thinks you should rehire him. Like,
there's probably people inside Disney who are like, yeah, we should rehire him.
and that I think the big talk in Disney is in this meeting that's happening is obviously Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, and the guy that fired James Gunn.
Yeah.
All sitting down to meet, going like, oh, so guys, like, Kevin obviously like, we should totally rehire James Gunn, and then it becomes well, how do we rehire him after we said what we said?
Yeah.
Because that's where the media backlash will really come in is, well, wishy-washy Disney.
Yeah. And they have to come straight forward and be like,
We made a mistake. We made a rash judgment after looking at all the, evidence.
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest piece. Like Chris Hardwick, that was his shtick on AMC. Is they didn't fire him. They gave him a break. They investigated themselves, and they've brought him back. Now, there's people that have subsequently quit because he's been brought back.
Okay.
Whether that has to do with they just don't like him or they don't agree with the decision, like.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, this is me personally, if he would have done something to one of these people that quit during the investigation, they would have come and said something.
Yes. Yeah.
Because now they've lost their, like, it's not like they were afraid of losing their job or something, because they've now quit.
Yeah.
So he might be a jerk to work with. But there's jerks like that's a separate category as to like, and I think that's always the funniest thing to me on social media that I have been reading is it's not that James Gunn made these tweets. Some people are upset by the tweets themselves. Like but they're the minority. The large group of people that don't want him back are calling him a pedophile.
Oh.
And it's like, well, but
not.
to be a pedophile, one needs to actually do the things he was tweeting about.
Yeah.
Well, you fired Roseanne for calling her for being racist, and it's like, well, but see, racism, you can say with words. That's the whole point to racism.
Yeah.
Like the act is by saying those things,
Promoting the hatred
of yes.
Yeah.
So that was the shtick. Is like everybody, well, Roseanne. And I'm going, well.
And Roseanne, like, directly targeted someone.
She targeted some. And here's I still laugh about the whole Roseanne thing because she got fired, and she blamed it on the drugs she was taking, like her actual medication, prescription medication.
Yeah.
Then she blamed it on something else. Then she blamed it on something else, and then finally, after like 2 weeks, she's like, I didn't even know the person was black, and I'm like, why didn't you say that first?
That? Yeah.
Like, I've made a grave error. I didn't even know she was African American. Whoops.
Yeah.
Start with that. Don't come with that. Like, 2 weeks later, that's your PR people going, tell them you did not know she was an African American person.
And that's a pretty late, like...
That's what I mean. Too late.
Too late.
If that was...
Too little too late.
If that was, instead of the, oh, it's my Ambien. If the response would have been, I didn't even know she was African American. Like, I was just making a political joke. I would have been like, oh. But when you say it 2 weeks later, you've now talked to some kind of council.
Yeah.
Who have told you to say something.
Told you what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, James Gunn, even they fired him, and his response right away was, I get it. It's cool. Like, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just want to let everybody know that I have grown. I'm not that person anymore. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, that was his response the next day.
Yeah. He apologized for his behavior 10 years ago.
Yeah. And again, I get the he probably also went through a PR person. Like, that's what these people do. Clearly his PR person was better than Roseanne's.
Yeah.
But that is kind of, it's how you come out of this situation, not just the, like, you know, direct, like, boom. Not, I was my Ambien. It made me racist.
Side effects of
Ambien might cause racism. That's my biggest piece, because that's what everybody keeps. They're like, well, if you fired Roseanne, then you have to fire, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's different.
In my opinion, it's different. The context is different. Again, racism is a specific, like, one, it's an attack on a person or people.
Yeah.
Verbally.
Yeah.
Pedophilia is not a strictly verbal, like...
Yeah. Especially when you know that James Gunn at that time cracked a lot of jokes about
that kind of, that was his brand, if you want to go in that direction. And again, people are going, well, if you tweeted something like that, you get fired. And it's like, well, yes, but my job is not making movies that revolve around that kind of humor.
Exactly. And, like, so we can assume that those were jokes.
Yes.
Roseanne's comment, that probably wasn't a joke.
And if it was...
It's not a very...
It was not a tasteful joke. Like, that's the
especially in this decade.
And again, yes, she did it, you know, a month ago. He did it 10 years ago. Yeah. Again, that big difference of he's had time. He can say, like, oh, I've grown.
Yeah.
Roseanne can't. In the past week.
I have changed who I am.
Yeah. And again, she's yet to actually. She's screamed she's sorry. Mm-hmm. She has yet to just sit down. Like, I've yet to see her actually sit down and go, like, I feel really bad. Like, I made a, like,
nice heartfelt apology.
All she keeps doing, like, even when she went on that one talk show where she was saying one person, like, I didn't know that they were black. I'm sitting there. She didn't just go like, oh, I didn't know they were African American when I made the joke. Like, whoops.
She sounded angry.
She was angry, and she was like, I didn't know they were. It's like, stop whining.
Yeah.
And just apologize. Like, save face that way.
Yeah.
Because then she got mad at James Gunn because everybody's supporting James. Well, why are they supporting this sicko? And da-da-da-da, and I'm going, oh my god.
It's like, oh.
It just, in my opinion, it just sucks we're in a world where tweets like that can get you, and that many years later can get you into something. Like,
yeah.
That's my biggest. And well, he was like 30 or 40 when he made the tweets, and it's like it's not that he was a kid and grew out of it. He changed as a person.
You can change as an adult.
You can change. That is part of the shtick. And I mean, if he didn't do anything illegal, then, and that's even when stuff happens to, like, I always feel bad when you get a person who maybe stole something or did something, like, not a super heinous crime, but if they have served their sentence as judged by the law, we're supposed to look at them as innocent again.
Yeah.
And we don't.
No.
He hasn't even done anything. And, like, and it's like, I'm sure somewhere that there's a picture of me doing something stupid. That like that's, and not like utterly stupid, but you know, someone would be like, well, he has very poor judgment for, you know, doing whatever he's doing in that picture, you know, jumping off a cliff or doing something, you know, like
crazy.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, that's yeah. I'm glad that we used film back when I was, you know, 17. Or the camera phones weren't as good, like you can't even tell who's on there.
Tell
click. Who is that? Oh, that's me and Wayne Gretzky. Can't you tell?
We're having a great time.
We're having a fantastic time. Either way, that's the James Gunn update. So we might still get a Guardians of the Galaxy written by him. We also might get a Guardians of the Galaxy directed by him. Because if they're putting his name on the movie, like that's my defense on this one.
Might as well just
if you're putting his name as written by and screenplay by, you might as well just throw his name everywhere.
Like just directed by.
Yeah, because you haven't clearly cut ties with him.
No.
So that's my shtick on the James Gunn thing. That's the shtick.
I concur.
Next up. This movie, this news makes me sad. So, last week, I guess, obviously, as we're talking about it, someone tweeted something about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is still a go.
Greenlit.
Well, no, it was greenlit a while ago, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
It is now
off the radar.
Back in production, and it has cast and a story. And I'm not seeing this film. First up, our big story here is Jim Carey will be playing Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik, whichever version of the name you want to go with. Robotnik being the correct answer. But he will be playing a live-action version of Dr. Robotnik because the only thing in this movie that's going to be animated is Sonic. Who is voiced by the guy who's been voicing Sonic for a while now. Not Urkel, that's a different Sonic, but one of the voice actors.
So is this going to be like very cartoony Sonic or like a CGI?
We're getting, I think, like Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, okay.
Or Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Alvin and the Chipmunks kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. So Green Hills is actually a town.
Yep. Yeah, they showed that screenshot.
Yes, that is the story. Is he has to help out the sheriff of this town essentially.
Yeah.
Stop Eggman. Or Robotnik from whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm confused by the story.
Robotnik's a very robust character.
Yes.
And, like, I guess
he's a very cartoony character.
Very cartoony. Big nose.
Yep.
Giant mustache.
Yep.
Maybe he has, like, is just his suit is gigantic.
Maybe. I don't know.
Jim Carrey is a very slim fellow.
He's a fairly slim dude.
And doesn't quite look like...
I'm cool. Like, I don't know. Here's my thing. If you did a full-on animated film, I still don't think Jim Carrey is who I want playing Robotnik.
Yeah.
He was I liked him as the Riddler. I know people complain about that film, but I liked him as the Riddler.
He was a good crazy for Riddler.
Yeah. Can you stop chewing by the cord? That'd be stupendous.
Sound still working?
Yeah. I just don't see him in that role. I also don't like the whole
live action
unless you really cheese it up. Like Rocky and Bullwinkle to me was actually not a bad film because they knew they were going in for cheese.
Yeah. It's just in this day and age, is that what people are looking for? Is it
not out of the Sonic? Not after we have something like Wreck-It Ralph that comes out that shows us like, oh man, we could have like this kind of movie. Especially again when you have Illumination working on a Mario movie.
Yes.
Full on animated as far as we know. Like. Sonic has enough of a storyline within Sonic. They've had how many TV shows? They've had how many, like... Video games, like, all this kind of stuff where it's like, oh, Eggman's at it again, guys. Like, let's stop him. Gotta go fast.
Yeah. And I personally am not a fan of these, like, live-action, very cartoony CGI. Like, it ruins the reality of it for me. Like, it's fun, but it ruins the reality of it for me, personally. Just personally.
It depends on the film.
Yeah.
Like I say, like Rocky and Bullwinkle.
They did it, yeah.
Because Jason Alexander as Boris. Oh, and
that was really,
it as? I know it too. Rene Russo.
Yeah.
I think was Natasha, but like they put themselves into that one and they went stupid and like and the explosions went off and they were still like whoa, like you know their faces were like soot and all that kind of stuff and they didn't die and you're like okay so it's it's a cartoon.
It's a very
but with
yes,
people.
Yes. Kind of like Space Jam.
Yeah.
Very
like they went into it. They just gave in. They're like, oh, Boris is going to explode. He's like, his mustache is going to go all up, and he's like, oh, Natasha.
Yeah.
Like, oh no. And you're going to be like, yeah, okay, this works.
That works. Yeah.
Alvin and the Chipmunks didn't quite pan out the way that one would want it to. I think the biggest one is like Paddington Bear worked.
Yes.
If you've seen Paddington, that one works. Because, and again, in Paddington, he does interact with humans. I think that is the big piece. He's a bear that just happens to get, like, no one's like, oh no, talking bear, let's all run. And the movie just does it. It's like, oh, hello, and they're like, oh, talking bear, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, okay, cool. Talking bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's no big deal. But Sonic, the last time he interacted with humans in Sonic 06, I believe it was, the video game. Like, he actually had a romantic storyline with a human being.
Yeah.
And, like, it was
kind of weird.
That was just weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I don't go full-on animated with Sonic.
When a lot of the characters are not.
Well, there's 8,000 of them now.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a movie with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy Rose,
all of
Big
those.
the Cat, like, Metal Sonic. Robotnik can still be in there, but he's animated. Like, I never really pictured Robotnik as human.
Yeah, he's a very, very cartoony.
Yeah, he's
human.
a cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But well, who knows?
We'll see more when it comes out. The casting to me is odd.
Yeah.
I don't see Jim Carrey as Robotnik.
Yeah.
Especially live action, because that's, like you say, rounder kind of frame, the big mustache. Like, if they go all out with that, maybe.
Yeah, he has done, like, The Grinch, where he does go, like, full makeup-y.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
again, his Grinch voice, like, everything kind of worked.
Yeah.
I just don't see him as Robotnik.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have that, like, wah, 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 wah voice.
No, he doesn't.
And again, that's all I know of Robotnik, really. Is, he shows up and,
yeah.
It's like, I'll get you, Sonic. It's the last thing I do. So I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
It's one of those things. You just don't know.
Unsure of.
I don't know who I'd cast as Robotnik. Michael Rooker.
Danny DeVito.
Dig it. Totally.
You did the Penguin.
I don't know. Like, that's my...
Yeah.
It's one of those things where... And again, if you did a cartoon, you hire voice actors and no one...
Voice actors are great.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, cool, it's a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Mm-hmm. And you sell it as Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I get wanting Jim Carrey because you can now put it on the poster as like, oh, we've got Jim Carrey.
Yeah, you have a name.
Yeah. But...
With a name...
And I feel like we're going to get another weird response out of Jim Carrey on this one. Like, in Kick-Ass 2, they finished that movie and he went on, like, his PR run, but it was like, oh, I don't agree with this movie anymore. It's super violent. And you're like, yes?
But you
read the script before you went to do the movie, right? Like, I feel this one, he's going to be capturing, like, woodland animals, and he's going to, come out of this going, like, well, it's cruelty towards animals. We shouldn't be showing this on film. I hit a running bipedal hedgehog on the head every once in a while, and he loses rings. Like, oh.
Oh. Because he also has that TV show coming out, Kidding.
Oh.
Which is, I think he's a iconic, like, children's TV show kind of guy, like Mr. Rogers or something. But he's having trouble in his actual life.
His personal life.
And he's, like, going crazy.
Oh.
At least that's what the synopsis is.
Cool.
Kind of is. But, so,
cool.
I don't know if he's trying to come back and get his name out there. What was the last movie he did?
He's been doing art.
Art.
If you watch Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, he's been he has a studio and he's been painting.
Oh, I see.
And doing mixed media artwork and stuff, and it's just like he's weird. Like, there's a reason Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
He's a weird dude.
He's kind of an odd fellow.
Like, Jerry goes to pick him up, and I forgot which episode of Comedians in Cars it is, but Jerry goes to pick him up, and instead of coming out of his gate, he climbs over the stone fence thing and, like, comes off the other side. And then they're at this restaurant, and he puts these drops in his coffee.
Yeah.
Lord knows what they are. But he puts these drops in his coffee. Well, he's sitting in the restaurant, he puts the coffee cup on the floor, and he's like, because he wants to see how far he can, like...
Yeah.
And you're going... Like, and I love Jim Carey and a lot of
Yeah.
stuff he's done. Eternal Sunshine of the... Like, not even just his comedies, but, like, Eternal Sunshine
Some
of the
of his
Spotless
more
Mind I thought
yeah.
was great. Number 23 I thought was really good. Obviously, the Dumb and Dumbers and the Ace Venturas and all that. Like, that's Jim Carey. But,
Carrey's.
you know, that's his bread and butter. I just don't see him as...
Robotnik.
Again, I loved him as Riddler. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like I don't like Jim Carrey. I just don't see him in
that one character.
this role. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So I just don't know. It's a weird casting to me. Next
On to
up,
Next up. Yeah.
yes, this one came out this morning.
Yeah.
Star Trek 4 is apparently a thing.
Yeah.
I did not
Okay,
know this.
so we all know 1. 2
Yes.
is with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes. Con.
3 is with Idris Elba as the
Beyond, I
yeah,
believe it was.
alien guy.
Written by Simon Pegg.
Yes.
And it didn't do so hot because I barely knew the third one was coming out.
Yeah. It had really not great, like...
The PR machine
Yeah.
kind of stopped. Like, there was no real trailers for it. There was
No.
no hype toward it. Like, it's Star Trek.
It's Star Trek. And it just kind of...
It kind of came and went. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, we made a movie.
Yeah. I know people were really excited for Star Trek 2 because it was about Khan, had Benedict...
We didn't know it was about Khan.
No.
Everybody
did.
assumed it was
Assumed
Khan.
it was Khan.
And they're like, it's not Khan. And then it was Khan.
And then it was Khan.
It was a giant Khan.
And yeah, 3 just kind of...
3 just kind of came and went. Like, I don't think the studio really believed in it.
Yeah.
And either way, it didn't do so hot.
No.
So that's what leads into this one,
one.
is apparently the 4th movie was supposed to have Chris Hemsworth reprising his role as the father of Chris Pine's Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be Captain Kirk and Captain Kirk. Like, there's more time travel.
Some more time travel, yeah.
Either way, they now want both of them to take a pay cut.
Because they can't afford both.
No, because they're afraid that it's not going to do as well because the 3rd movie didn't do good.
Oh.
They're like, well, the 4th movie, like, it didn't do so hot.
Yeah.
So essentially what happened was there was people at the top of Touchstone Pictures or whoever's making this movie.
Right.
And they're like, when you do the 4th one, this is what you'll get paid.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a verbal handshake agreement to both Chris's.
Yeah.
New people have now taken over. And they're like, well, due to the reception of the 3rd one, we can't pay you guys as much because we can't. The budget has
can't
to
risk. Yeah.
the budget has to decrease for this film because we're not putting that much money into it. Well,
Yeah.
either way, now it looks like they're not going to have either Chris
Yeah.
in the movie. So you're short your Captain Kirks.
Yeah. All the Kirks are gone.
All the Kirks are done.
So I heard that this was supposed to be the final, like, Star Trek movie of this
saga,
this universe,
Yeah.
whatever you call it. So I wonder if they're trying to just go back in time and
I don't know what they're really
fix this, but
trying to do.
and if they don't have these 2 Chris's,
Yes,
they have no story.
correct. You can't. I hate to say this, but Captain Kirk is kind of a vital story
Yeah.
to that Star Trek story. It's
Yeah.
not like they're going like skipping to Next Generation and replacing Patrick
Yeah.
Stewart's character with a different
Yeah.
Captain Picard.
And even in Next Generation, Kirk was still there, but he was an admiral. They sometimes got cameos
Yes.
with William Shatner to be Admiral Kirk.
Well, because he's Kirk.
He's Kirk.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Kirk.
Everybody knows Kirk. So that's the shtick. Like, that's my biggest thing is, like, you've pissed off the two biggest. Zoe Saldana still has to sign a contract.
Yeah.
Like, you got big names for the entire cast of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, John Cho is probably the one who would take a pay cut the fastest because he's Harold.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all he's known for.
For
Carl Urban has been in a bunch of flicks. Like, he's
making a name for himself.
Yeah, like, he's Carl Urban. As much as I'd love John Cho to be in more stuff, because I love John Cho.
I do like John Cho.
Like, he was on a TV show with Karen Gillan for a bit. It was based on My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
But it was a modern take on it, so she was like this selfie-obsessed, person. He was supposed to change her image sort of shtick. But I mean, like, he's really funny, but out of the entire cast, he's the one that would probably be like, oh yeah, I'll take a pay cut just to be in the movie, whatever, cool.
Yeah.
Whereas
Simon Pegg would?
I don't know, because he writes for it now too, and Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg. People know Simon Pegg.
I forgot which. Oh, it was Ocean's 11. They needed an English person to do one of the roles, and they actually tried to get the guy who wrote The Office. And why can't I think of his name? He does a lot of comedy for the It'll come to me. But the guy who wrote The Office, they wanted him as this cameo, and they were offering him like a walk-on role for like no money, and he's like, no, and they're like, well, you're not a big star, and he's like, have you seen me in England?
Yeah.
Like, I hate to break it to you, but in the UK and Europe,
He's big.
I'm big.
Yeah.
Well, and he's like, nope, like, take a hike.
Yeah.
Which, again, I get. So, and the two Chris's you're fighting with now, like, Chris Hemsworth
is big, big.
Only going up.
Yeah.
Chris Pine,
he's might have plateaued.
It's still rising. It's just a slower rise.
Yeah.
But like after Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War,
yeah,
Chris Hemsworth, like you're sitting there going, oh man, dude can act. Like,
yeah,
you know, after the Thor movies, you're like, But all of a sudden, it's like you get those two movies. And
yeah,
like, oh.
Like he can be humorous. He can be emotional.
He's all over the place. Yeah.
He can dance.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
So that's the thing is like Chris Hemsworth is on the like a giant. He's on a rocket, just like, you know.
Hemsworth is a good name right now.
Yeah, Chris Pine again, still like, you know, after Wonder Woman going up, and he does enough stuff where it's like, oh, it's Chris Pine.
So Chris Pine.
Yeah. So and then again, Zoe Saldana still hasn't signed stuff. Well, you're fighting with Gamora. You're fighting with this
Avatar lady too.
So, like that's what I mean.
I forgot her name.
These people are in so many flicks.
Yeah.
You're just like, kid, you made a mistake when you cast a giant cast and hoped that Star Trek would do well.
Yeah.
Which it did for 2 movies. Then you stopped caring about Star Trek, and that's what's causing this problem.
Yeah, it's the own production's fault.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
the actors.
The actors. So stop asking them to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even know there was a Star Trek 4 in development, which apparently it's been in development since like 2016.
Yeah, forever. Forever.
It started in 2016. They're like, we're doing a 4th one, and I'm like, I just heard about it today. So.
And it's having trouble.
And it's already having trouble. It's the only reason I've heard of it is because they want to not pay
their
actors.
2 biggest actors.
Yeah.
Well, like the Kirks.
Yeah, your story revolves around Captain Kirk and his crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's why I always laugh. Like I'm all for the equal pay thing, but all of a sudden, like actors and actresses, it's like, well, you know, this actress is finally getting equal pay to this guy, and I'm like, but was she the lead?
Yeah.
Was she this? Was she the name that brought people into the movie? Because I would totally get the equal pay thing if, like, you know, Joe Schmo was getting paid $1 million more than Jane Schmo.
Yeah.
For the same, like, role.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Or if it was, like, Joe Schmo versus Zoe Saldana and he was getting the equal pay to her.
Right, that's not fair.
That's not fair.
If you have a name in Hollywood, you should get paid more money. You're the draw.
Exactly. You're the reason why.
Because I think it was Westworld where they're like, oh, this person's finally making the same as, like, Anthony Hopkins. And I'm like, no one should be making the money that Anthony Hopkins is making.
Anthony Hopkins is
Anthony Hopkins.
He's a legend.
That's like if and again, not that I'm a huge fan of her, but if Julia Roberts is in a movie, she should be getting paid way more than anybody else on that film.
Mm-hmm. Because she's a draw.
Yeah, unless her co-star is Richard Gere, in which case they should be getting equal pay.
Yes.
Like, the acting one is always weird to me. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like your agents are the ones that
negotiate
your
contract.
Pay.
Yeah.
Your pay is negotiated, and if you thought that what you were getting was fair, then what you think you're getting is fair.
Yeah.
Now, again, if Glenn Close goes in and goes like, yeah, I'll take the role, and they're like, cool, we'll pay you a cool $1 and then Anthony Hopkins shows up, and they're like, we'll give you 3, sir.
Yeah.
Unfair, because Glenn Close, again, is
pretty awesome.
Yeah, she's on par with, in my opinion, like Anthony Hopkins. But, you know, some of these people who were in Westworld who I never heard of until Westworld.
Yeah.
Well, they're not getting paid properly, and it's like, but I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
They're on a TV show, and I've never heard of them.
Work up the ranks.
Yeah.
Work up the ranks.
And again, like I get Big Bang Theory, everybody gets paid the same now.
Yeah.
Because without any of that cast,
you don't.
That show is doomed.
It's like what was going on with Friends.
Correct. They should all be getting paid the same. I don't care if you're, you know, Matthew Perry at the time or Jennifer Aniston at the time, who were the bigger names on that show.
Yeah.
They should be getting paid the same as everybody else, because without one of them,
you don't
that
have
show
Friends.
falls apart.
Yeah.
But when Big Bang Theory started, Kaylee Cuoco and John Galecki should have been getting paid more money, being the only two names in that show.
Yeah.
Because they were.
They were.
They had been on TV before. They were that's the kid from Roseanne.
Yeah.
Bringing it all back together. Or the girl from Eight Simple Rules.
Simple Rules.
She did some other stuff too. But I knew her from that show.
Yeah, she did do another one that were...
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, you knew her from other stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't know the guy who played... You didn't know Jim Parsons before Big Bang Theory.
Nope. Yeah,
and now that they're on their 8,000th season, yes, they should all be getting paid the same.
Yeah. Even Howard, I didn't really know him.
No. And Raj
definitely not.
No.
Yeah. I think Howard was in some movies that were...
He was a lower...
Yeah.
Again, he was a side something, like, way side. Not supporting, but, like...
Not supporting, yeah. Like,
off to the side sort of character.
Yeah.
That's my shtick on that one. But so again, these guys should be getting paid what they are worth for your film. If you don't think they're worth the money, then guess what? You're not. Yeah,
you're gonna draw the money in.
You think Thor's not gonna bring in cash to your film?
Yeah.
Maybe you should write a better movie because it's clearly not Hemsworth's problem.
No.
And that's my thing. Even going back to the James Gunn stuff is, if someone comes onto that movie and doesn't do a good job writing it, there's a $1 billion franchise down the toilet.
Yeah. Because no one's gonna want to come and see the next one.
No, not if it's junk.
Nah, they stopped quality.
Yeah,
they stopped quality controlling.
And not that I don't think who they'll get is gonna be quality.
Yeah.
Marvel has yet to really screw up, but I think that's what those meetings really are. Is Kevin Feige like, guys, you realize what you're doing here, right? Like, oh my God. We'll lose $5 from the people that don't want to see this movie.
Yeah.
We will gain billions of dollars if we let him keep working for us.
Yes. Yeah.
So, either way, Star Trek 4 is a thing.
Star Trek 4, yeah. Don't know if it's, don't know when that's going to happen, though.
It might not ever happen. Or they'll cast Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah. Who is coming back
for a Star Trek television show. Based on old Picard.
Yeah. Should be cool.
I think that's more interesting to me than Next Generation, in all honesty. Like, I tried watching Next Generation, and as someone who didn't watch it in its heyday, I think a lot of it is lost on. Like, it is a brutal soap opera based in space.
It is. Patrick Stewart was... And Data.
The cast was good. The show was just ludicrously crazy.
It was at that time where some shows were independent and some weren't.
Yes.
And then pretty much the ones that were independent were just filler to fill in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come up with some ridiculous ideas. Like,
they made Shakespeare. And all of a sudden, Patrick Stewart gets to show off his Shakespeare.
And that holodeck just lets them do whatever the hell they want for an episode. Yeah. They wanted to have dinosaurs in it? Let's have dinosaurs in it. Not that they did, I don't think. But anyways.
No, the budget wasn't big enough for that. Yeah. So I missed that one back in its heyday. So I tried watching it now, and I'm just like, this is insanity. Yeah. But thinking about him playing that character as an old guy who had, like, once gone into space. Let me tell you, he's pretty much Deckard Cain now.
Yeah, Deckard Cain.
Back in my day, kids, when I was on the spaceship.
Yeah. Stay a while and listen.
Stay a while, kids. I'm going to tell you a story about when I was a captain on a spaceship. Everybody's like, crazy old Picard. I think that's kind of a cool concept for the show. I'm digging I'm digging Star Trek trying to kind of make a comeback.
Yeah.
But honestly, with this movie, that's my shtick is, if people were promised money,
you gotta give them that money.
You gotta give them that money.
Yeah. Promise is a promise.
Or if you're trying to lowball them that hard, where these two guys are like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's like, okay, I know we were offering you $10 million a piece to be in this film. We can no longer do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not cutting it. But all of a sudden, if you're trying to lowball them to a point where they're like, this is not worth... No, I'm worth more than this now. Have you seen my latest film? It made more than, like, $2 billion worldwide.
Made more than all three of your other Star Trek movies.
And that's the biggest piece, is, like, the one movie I was just in, and not really in. I was kind of only sort of in it. Just made, like, $2 billion. So... what?
Yeah.
And Chris Pine.
Like, it's a slap in the face. Like, I'm not saying, like, these actors...
Hello, Jigglypuff.
Hello, Jigglypuff. Don't sing, we'll fall asleep. I'm just kidding. But, like, it's kind of like a slap in the face to actors if you lowball them that much.
If you really, and again, we don't know numbers, we don't know
know,
any of that
yeah.
stuff. Like, they could be trying to drop them from 10 million to 9 million. And,
Exactly.
you know, they're going, well, no, we were promised 10. Then you're kind of being, you know, you're... when you're working in the millions,
Yeah.
to me, that's kind of a you can drop what you're doing.
You could.
You can drop $500,000.
You could say no to
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I always I appreciate hockey players, again, who want to get paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
But if a guy just really wants to play hockey and he's like, I'll sign for $500,000, I'm like, yeah, I'd also sign for $500,000.
Yeah.
Again, Jigglypuff, hello.
Hello, Jigglypuff.
We don't chat. We don't type back. We talk
we
back.
just talked back.
Either way. Moving on to the next piece. Last week we reported. Were you here last week?
No,
you were not here
no,
last
I was
week.
not like it
So
last week.
I had to explain to Tony the goings on of World of Warcraft and why people were so upset. So we had the burning of Teldrassil and that Warbringer video that pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
We then had the Sourfang video that came out last 2 weeks ago. That kind of was like, all right, I
right.
get the thing. Now we've had the Battle for Lordaeron. So
Yeah.
if you have yet to play it in WoW, you have 3 days left. So get on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have till Monday
Until
essentially,
Monday.
because Tuesday morning at 9:00 that ends, and the next expansion starts. So
Get your plague bat. Get your
plague bat, get your
Hippogriff.
weird
Teldrassil hippogriff.
and your weird weapons, I guess, if you
Oh.
haven't already gotten those appearances.
They weren't really
the
that great,
fight,
though.
No. But either way, the Battle for Lordaeron went on, and it seems to have changed the opinion of a lot of people. So 2 weeks ago, Christy Golden, the writer of the book and the subsequent head writer for this expansion, was taking a lot of flack on Twitter.
Yeah.
People, telling her to do things that they shouldn't be, like
Yeah.
killing herself and this kind of thing. Like
Don't
a lot
do
of
that.
hate going
Don't do
on,
that.
which is not cool. This week, it seems to have gone the exact opposite way because,
We were
having played
praising
through
her.
Battle of Azeroth, this was her writing. This was a big shtick piece of it with, is it honor or is it survival? What are you fighting for? This, that, and everything else. Like, Sylvanas was painted in a light that was not good.
Yeah.
She has now been painted in a light that is like, oh, she's trying to keep the Horde alive.
Yeah.
Because that is if you play the Horde side of it, spoilers, but that is her line to
That is
one
her.
of the other Horde leaders is like, what did you just do? And she's like, it's like, there's no honor. And she's like, we can't think of honor constantly, or
Yeah.
we would be dead.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm trying to keep this Horde alive, whatever it ends up costing.
Before they get wiped out.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with her wanting to kill a bunch of people. It has nothing to... She's like, I am fighting for you people.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I'll do what it takes to win at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't be thinking, oh, the honorable thing to do would be to put down my, my weapon and just give up at this
Yeah.
point. Or to do a one-on-one fight. We're trying to win a war.
Yeah.
You know?
'Cause let's face it, the Alliance would obliterate the Horde if the Horde just stopped
Right.
caring. Like, Jaina would come. There are people like Jaina who are in it to just kill the Horde.
At this point, yes. She
Yes.
is. Well, same as Gen Greymane, like we
Yeah.
saw that. Well, I mean, we
They're
get to see-
very angry.
Yeah.
And
We got to see a lot of characterization in this
yes.
kind of video
Yeah.
that I think helped kind of quell the pieces of everything. And if you play both sides of it, you really get to see it.
Yeah, so definitely try and play both sides. You get the full story. If you're only playing one side, you kind of lose. You don't lose a lot of this, but
It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do if you
Yes.
play one side of it. Is on the Alliance, you're now pissed off of what the Horde
Horde is
did.
doing. Yeah.
And you're like, those guys,
So I think Blizzard has done a good job with.
they have. And then they've also released the special edition. If you bought the actual physical collector's box,
Mhm.
you got these books, these short novellas.
Okay.
They've released them online, and you can read them, and that gives you a bigger insight into Sylvanas and the Horde and the Alliance. Like, there's one story for each side, and it kind of gives you greater insight into.
That's nice.
So, like I said last week, if you take the game at face value and just watch the cinematics they're showing you, the last couple cinematics, like Battle for Lordaeron, really kind of, I think, wrapped everything up nicely.
Yeah.
Like, made it so it's not like, oh, this is dumb and Sylvanas is dumb and everybody's just dumb. This one, I think, calmed a lot of people.
Yeah.
But to really calm everybody, it was like, here is all the lore right now. Like, start reading.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a lot of stuff on Reddit where people are making comments and they're like, you should read the book or
that's-
go look at that lore
And that was
again.
kind of
'cause
our
you had that
discussion
wrong."
last week
Yeah.
was, should you have to read all the supplemental content to understand what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, what they've done is supercharged the people.
Yeah.
Like they've the Alliance is mad, parts of the Horde are mad. They're doing exactly what they want to do with those cinematics. If you really want to understand what's going on, though, you have to read that supplemental stuff, and you can go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if all you're doing is watching the cinematics, you are pretty much playing your character, which it kind of like it. There's some RP and some not RP when it comes to Warcraft. Like they still force you onto certain quests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to defend Lordaeron.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether if you're Horde, you're defending it. There's no like
No.
I refuse. You can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't side with certain Horde people. You're following Sylvanas till the end.
Yeah.
So they kind of break RP there. Like you can't do anything on that point.
Yeah.
But you can definitely jump onto the bandwagon of like once you've read the storylines, you're like, oh, okay.
This
But
is what it is.
play your character, I guess. The best they let you play your character. Same as D&D. Like you're not you. You're whoever your character
Yeah.
is. And that goes for not just RP servers, but all servers. If you're pissed, you're supposed to be mad. Like, they've done exactly what
They've
they
done
want
what
you
you're
to
supposed to.
do.
Yeah. They've gotten motion out of you.
Yeah, and those are the more concise things that I've seen on Reddit and Twitter and that kind of stuff, is they've done exactly what they want you to do. Like,
Yeah.
they've gotten you riled up. They now want you fighting the other side. Like,
Yeah.
this is exactly what was supposed to happen. It is. It's war. Like, we are in Warcraft.
Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah. So, and that's the shtick, is Battle for Azeroth. And it's like, well, this war was just, like, made up and da-da-da-da-da-da, just for an expansion. And it's like, well, one, yes.
Yes, yes.
Sorry to say, but,
Well,
yes.
technically everything is...
Yes.
is
Like, someone posted online the other day, well, they should be taking, like, all of our advice and making the story based on what we think it should be. And it's like, do you know what the story would look like if it took everybody's opinion on
that
what
it
should
would just
happen?
be-
It would be a
yeah.
cluster. Like, it
Yeah.
would be all over the place. Like, and one person's like, if you don't like the story and where it's going, stop paying the money.
Yeah.
Like,
You can play another game.
you can go play something else where the story is more in line with what you
Yeah.
want, but guess who gets to write the story?
Not
The people
you.
that make the game.
Exactly.
That's like playing God of War and being like, I don't like where this story's going. They should have listened to me and gone to Egypt.
I want to raise that boy this way.
Yeah. Either way, so the storm has kind of settled. People are more in like, okay, I get where Sylvanas is coming. Like, they're seeing more of the where things are
Worth
going.
it. Which is under, like...
And I mean, we'll talk about our opinions more
Yeah.
about what, like, about the actual cinematics and the post-credit show.
But that's one thing I was surprised about, was people were just... Like, this is the pre-patch.
Yes.
We're building up to something.
Yes.
And even with the first, like, week,
Yeah.
people were making, like, I don't like where this is going. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know where it's going yet.
No idea.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Either way, that's that shtick. And last but not least, this is the last. I knew. I'm like, man, we're running fast today, but not really, because here's the big shtick: Super Smash Brothers Direct.
Direct. On August 8th, 2018.
Yes. So Sakurai came out, and well, first the video started, and Luigi died.
Yeah.
Mario's dead now.
Quite a
Mario-
horrific death, actually.
Well, he was killed by death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got his soul
Or a
just-
Reaper, I guess.
Yeah, he got his soul just ripped out.
He became the thing he hates the most. I was kind of hoping in that particular, because they show him with the poltergust, I'm kind of hoping that that's one of his moves now.
Yes.
Like, he's less of a Mario clone and more of his own guy. Like, he has the vacuum
The
now
vacuum.
for at least, even his final smash would be cool.
Yeah.
Either way, they showed that off. The Castlevania is now in
Is now.
Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So someone said you can now have an 8-player fight with no Nintendo characters. You can have an 8-player battle with third-party characters, like complete third-party characters. That's
Which
how
is
many
pretty
have made it
crazy.
into the game, which
Yeah.
is insane to me. There are now over... I think there's almost 70 fighters now in this
Yes.
game, if you include Echo fighters.
Yep. Yep.
Which I do, because there is a difference.
There's a difference. I agree.
So we get Simon Belmont,
Yep.
and then we get, I don't know the other Belmont's name, but we get one of the other Belmonts from
Yes.
the original Castlevania stories. And they are Echo fighters of each other. Like, the second Belmont is an Echo fighter of Simon.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he does. He has a few different kind of he's tweaked it a little differently.
Yeah.
Is essentially the shtick to that one. So we got a cool cinematic involving those guys. It ends with Luigi still as a ghost.
Yeah, unfortunately. Poor
Unfortunately.
Luigi.
Well, he's dead. Mario's dead. Because in the Ridley cinematic, he gets it. Mega Man's dead. Like, everybody's like, so is this the story mode? Like, we're collecting dead people
Dead people?
to bring them back somehow
That'd be interesting.
to fight. So we got those two characters announced.
Yeah.
And then Sakurai came and he's like, so there's more character announcements coming. Like, just hold on.
Hold on.
So after the last one, we were kind of told, we got the Inklings.
Yep.
And we were kind of told that was going to be, and then a few Echo fighters, and he's like, all right, we're out. Like, we now have over 60 some characters. Like, we're done. Like, and everybody's like, that's cool.
That's cool.
You brought back Snake. Like, the Ice Climbers are back.
Yes.
Like, all the fighters that have ever been in the game are back. We're good.
Yeah.
Like, you have given us everything we could have ever hoped for.
And others just...
Thank you so much. And then all of a sudden this one comes out and he's like, oh yeah, Simon Belmont and the other Belmont guy, like the Echo Fighter. And it's like, oh, and he's like, oh, and we'll have more announcements in a bit. Just relax. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're giving me more? So then they announced some stages.
They went to
103 stages.
Yeah. And then with all the little modifications, it comes up to
300.
300.
Because you can turn them into all like Final Destination.
Yeah.
Flat, or you can turn them into battlefields with the 1, 2,
the floaty
platforms. Yeah,
Yeah.
so 1 platform, 2 platforms, and the stage.
Yeah.
So you can turn them either into that or Final Destination or just the level itself. You can also turn off the random stuff in the levels.
Yes. Yeah.
So the obstacles in the level, or I guess
the things other things that can kill you.
yes, you can turn that
knock
stuff
you
off.
off,
So like in the Mega Man level, you had that yellow the boss guy who would go across
I
the
don't know
screen.
what the name of that.
I don't know either. I don't play enough of the original Mega Man, but it like you can turn him off.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
You
okay.
could probably turn off the Kirby tree blowing.
Yeah. He'll still be in the background, but the wind
won't be
blow.
blowing
So
you
the
or-
level's still shaped like the level. You just won't have all of the weird stuff happening. Environmental stuff. going on.
Yeah.
So he said if you take out Final Destination, Battlefield, and one of those other levels, it rounds down to 100 levels.
Yeah.
And then if you turn on those tweaks, it's
You
300
can have
different levels.
You can really customize your.
But
gameplay.
103 levels.
That's great.
Is a lot.
It's
of
a lot
levels.
of levels.
And I feel like there's going to be more because they didn't solidify that as a.
Yes.
It's not like 103 is our final number.
No.
Because he did the same thing with the fighters in the last one. He's like, that brings us up to 65 fighters or whatever.
It just said bring us to.
Yeah, it brings us to 103. Then they talked about music, so there is over 800 music tracks.
It comes up to about 900.
Yeah.
And they showed this new feature too with the Switch, I guess.
Yeah, you can press play. The
Turn the screen
3DS
off.
does this.
Oh, okay.
The 3DS did this in certain games. You could press play, close the clamshell, and it would turn off the screens and everything, but it would keep playing your music. So if you want to walk around and jam to the 800 tracks,
Nintendo video game music.
yeah, you can put your Switch in your bag with your headphones out and listen to Final Destination. Like,
if you're into that.
if you're into that, cool. If you're into that, though, I feel like you'd already have a lot of those tracks on your music playing device. Your phone, I'm assuming, is the go-to thing now.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember when the iPhone first came out, and I'm like, why would you want your music and your phone in the same thing? Like, you know how many songs I can fit on my iPad?
And then they also announced stage morphine.
That's a cool one. I dug
Stage
that
morphine.
one. Yep.
So you can select 2 stages.
Yep.
And either randomly or at a set time,
It
will change into the other level.
which I think is really cool
I think
because
that's
again,
super
that
neat.
adds how many more level combos
Exactly.
to you're playing Final Destination, you can change into Battlefield, and all of a sudden the fight changes.
Yeah. So, which can cause quite a... And if all your environmental things are active,
Yeah.
that'll just all of a sudden you're like, what? Lava?
Yeah. I think from the looks of it, it does try and teleport you to the next closest platform, so you're not just
falling into
death. But I'm assuming if you've been knocked off the stage
and it morphs at
and
that
it
right
morphs, you're like, well, ruh-roh.
where am I gonna try and get to now?
As you're jumping back towards a specific cliff and it disappears. Yeah, that was a cool feature.
I think that's
they
really
announced
neat.
some new items.
Yeah.
Nothing earth-shattering.
No, just a sword that can
There's a new
have more power.
sword, which is essentially whatever.
Yeah.
A mushroom that turns people's controls backwards and
Backwards,
forwards. That's
yeah.
from Earthbound. Now, like the items didn't make me like whoa.
No,
the
yeah,
Pokeballs didn't. Ditto was cool.
Ditto was cool.
We finally get Ditto. Ditto was supposed to be in melee.
Oh.
The coding for Ditto was in melee, but they couldn't.
They couldn't get it to.
They couldn't get a fifth
proper.
person on the screen, right?
Oh yeah.
Like a fifth fighter for them back then was like whoa.
Whoa. Now there's 8 plus assist trophies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
we got to talk about.
Yeah, assist trophies. So 0.
0.
He showed up, and I'm like, yeah. 0.
I think the greatest one is the moon.
The moon is so good.
From Zelda. It's just
boom.
So my assumption is it hits everybody
Yep.
except the caster.
Yeah, it might
Or
hit them
might
too.
hit them too?
It might be one of those assist trophies that's not so assisty.
It just clears the
Oh,
battlefield.
no.
Clears the battlefield.
Yeah. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, get out the way.
And then they introduced Monster Hunter into this as well.
Yeah, so there's a boss. Obviously, there's a Monster Hunter level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they announced him as a boss of a level sort of thing,
Yeah.
and that's like they kind of lean towards there's going to be a story. They didn't actually say it in this one, but the
No.
fact that like Dracula appears at certain times.
Yeah, that there's bosses.
There's bosses. He is this big dragon thing from Monster Hunter is a boss, but also a assist trophy, so he can show up on any level and wreak havoc on everybody.
Yeah. So that's pretty.
Yeah. So the moon kind of shattered some dreams because people were hoping Skull Kid would be a fighter,
Oh yeah.
and that would be his final smash. Clearly, is riding the moon down to destroy everybody. That's my thing. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is who I want as a fighter. This is who I want as a fighter. This is who," and I'm like, "That doesn't what Skull Kid? Like what?
Yeah, like
That's pretty
it
obscure."
seems like they're taking there's the main characters of a game franchise.
Yeah.
Not
See, and I get
just-
people being kind of mad about Bomberman,
Yeah.
but at
yeah,
the same time, what's Bomberman's moveset?
that's true too.
You know,
He has to have a move.
he has to have a complete moveset. He has to be balanced within the game. He has to fit. Same with Zero. Like as soon as I saw Zero, it's like, because he would have been cool.
Yeah.
But
He would have just dominated and wreaked havoc too.
but again, what's your complete move set?
Yeah.
What's this? What's that? I'm kind of hoping we get some Echo Fighters for Mega Man at this point,
That would
because I would like Mega Man like X or something like
Yeah.
that as a different costume. Like Mega Man's cute, but X was always my franchise growing
Yeah.
up, so it's like, especially with Mega Man X collections coming out, it's kind of
It's
like, please.
please.
Or Battle
Probably.
Network. I like Battle
Yeah.
Network.
They did have that Echo for Samus.
We have 2 more Echo Fighters.
Yep.
So Dark Samus.
Dark Samus.
She floats.
She looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And people, they kind of heard there was rumors that Dark Samus was going to be an Echo Fighter.
Yeah.
And people were like, but she moves differently and she does this differently. Like, she's not Samus.
Yeah.
Dark Samus was never Samus. It was a very different character. And that came out, and the cool thing was the internet's like, I'm okay with
Okay
this.
with
Like, she
it.
floats. She's
Yeah.
got this, like, she does have that ethereal movement to
Yeah.
her. They've made her moves more Dark Samus-like, but sticking to still being Samus. And it's like, all right.
All right.
That's why I like Echo Fighter as opposed to Clone,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're not exactly the same.
It's not just the skin.
It's not just as if it was a skin, you could just press a
Yeah.
button and they'd appear. So,
Yeah.
we also got, I believe, Crom
Yes, we did.
as an Echo Fighter to Roy,
Roy. I think it was Roy.
who was an Echo Fighter to Marth,
Yes, yes.
who is no longer Roy's no longer an Echo Fighter. So he's
Echo,
different.
echo.
He's different enough. Yeah, echoes of echoes of echoes of echoes. It kind of made me laugh because they announced him, and I'm like, another Fire Emblem character.
Yeah,
'Cause
I know,
they keep
there's-
loading
there's
it
a
with
lot of
Fire Emblem
yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
So there was that. So stages, new items, and then I guess it ended.
The very
with,
end, yeah.
Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong sitting in their treehouse, chilling out, and they get faked out because Dee Dee shows up dressed as K. Rool.
Yeah, which I thought was great.
Which was great, and then all of a sudden Dee Dee gets swept away, and King K.
He
Rool
actually
appears,
does
and
show
he
up.
joins the fight, and it's
Yeah.
like, so they've added Ridley and King K. Rool, which are two
Yeah.
big fan wants.
I'm so
to the
happy
game.
that they brought in King K. Rool.
Yeah.
Like, and his moveset looks pretty like.
And to be
unique.
fair, and here's the thing, like I know we talk about movesets and what are their movesets going to be. Zero, I think, has a moveset,
Yeah.
but like you say, it's like he'd be pretty overpowered if they used
Unless
everything.
they like balanced it out.
And they could. They could find a way.
Yeah.
But I think that making people assist trophies is just a good way of including certain characters in the game.
Yeah.
Without,
That are not playable.
Yeah. So it's like we're still honoring these characters by putting them in the game, but we just don't want to overload with this or that or whatever it is. Or it's going to cost us more money to put Zero in the game because we'll owe Capcom more money to do that.
Exactly.
Everybody is... so either way, King K. Rool was a boss in a side-scrolling game. He has a moveset. It's there.
Yeah.
Like, his moves are set. He's got them from his old video game.
Yeah.
So, I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's awesome how they presented it too.
Yeah. That was a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the bosses now, which I think is cool. Like, it started off as all the good guys fighting.
Yeah.
And now it's we're getting to that point where, we could almost recreate Donkey Kong Country.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
They showed us the menu.
Yes. Yes.
They blocked out the one
One
thing. Now,
thing.
of course, people on the internet are...
Speculating.
No. They're the internet. They go frame by frame. Because instead of pixelating over and not just covering it, they actually pixelated it so the pixels move.
Yeah.
Well, people have, of course, gone frame by frame to the point where you can see through it, and people have read the word spirit or something close to that word.
Oh. So it could be like story?
That's what people are... It's instead of like subspace emissary, especially with all those characters dying and then Luigi becoming a ghost, it's like spirit something or other. Like it's going to be the story mode of the game.
Yeah. Like how some people on the internet are putting Waluigi mode.
Yeah. No.
No. Waluigi's...
And again, I get Waluigi wanting him to be a fighter. But that's the thing is, some of these fighters are in development much, much longer. And it's the same with people. Why are there so many Echo fighters? Because it takes them 2 seconds to build them.
Yeah.
And it pads out the roster in a way where you're like, oh. Like when they announced Daisy, I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because I hate Peach. And I like Daisy. And they can be the exact same person, but it's like, oh, this is better. I like this.
Yeah.
I dig the Echo fighter piece.
Because you don't have to be that character.
And it's not a skin anymore.
It's not a skin anymore.
Yeah. And now, of course, there are more characters on the horizon.
Yes. Yes.
So we're not just locked in with whatever everybody's like, oh my god, we can start speculating again. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
One of the big speculations is we have Ryu. And from what people have seen from the demo games and all of that stuff is they've taken out his Ken variant costume.
Oh.
They did that also with Samus, was her dark... That's where the rumor for Dark Samus came from, is the dark variant of her costume was gone. Well, the Ken variant of the Ryu costume is gone, so everybody is just... And I mean, they're Echo Fighters.
Yeah.
They were Echo Fighters before Echo Fighters were Echo Fighters.
Yeah.
Like, Ken and Ryu were the same guy.
Just look different. They have the same moves, though.
So that's the shtick, is everybody's like, so we're getting Ken. So there are going to be more character announcements. I'm hoping for more level announcement type things. Like 103 levels, we're getting close to... all the characters, all the levels, all the things. And everybody's like, is this like the last Smash Brothers?
It sounds like it.
But at this point...
Or would they just keep having DLC for it? Because they called it Ultimate.
Yes. And
so
it's Ultimate. It is the
very
penultimate.
ultimate.
It is the game.
So
my big piece is... And I said this for Mario Kart. Like when Mario Kart 8 came out... why keep making Mario? Like you've nailed Mario Kart. If you release DLC every year, I'm happy.
Yep.
I get more tracks, I get more this, I get more that within that game, because I don't know how you change Mario Kart now without releasing the same game.
Yeah. And they have already like just given free DLC, like they just gave
we
that
got
Breath
the Zelda
of the Wild.
Yeah, we got the Zelda stuff,
which is... So I feel like that's just what they should do.
Yes, in my
and if they want to charge, like what did they do for the Wii U? They charged you...
It was stupidly cheap.
Really
I would
cheap.
pay way more than that for what I got.
Yeah.
Like I got...
It was great.
16 new tracks.
Yeah. And
no, 32 new, because we got... Did we get 2 new?
So there's the new Leaf. There's the Zelda. And...
Did we get 2 new cups or 4 new cups? I think 2 new cups.
I thought it was 4 new cups.
I don't remember. Either way, stupidly cheap.
Yeah, and great DLC.
Yeah.
So
Like, pads out that game so well, and as soon as that came out, it's like they never have to make a new Mario Kart game ever again, which is why when it came out on Switch again, like the deluxe version, I'm like, I shall purchase.
Yeah.
Because easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now I can play on the go.
Yeah.
Again, that other piece of the Switch where it's like, yeah, I can play on the go. But yeah, Nintendo, I think with Super Smash Bros., there's definitely going to be some DLC characters after the fact. And if this is the last Super Smash Brothers, I think every game is going to be like, if the next Nintendo system, when it comes out, to have Super Smash Bros., it'll just be like, you know, Ultimate Deluxe, whatever, boomf, and then just keep adding
they're just
the
gonna keep
DLC
adding
stuff.
to it. Yeah.
Like, I
pretty
think
much
you
what
just
they did
keep
with
adding.
Mario Kart. They've moved it over to the Switch and just added.
Yeah. Well, and again, they moved it over to the Switch because it wasn't like the Wii U, unfortunately, just didn't take off. And it's still a good system. My wife and I played it the other day, and you're just sitting there going like, oh, it's still a solid system with a lot of good games.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, just the marketing sucked.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, the marketing sucked. I still remember Tony and I talking about it on the show 800 years ago when they first showed the controller, and we're like, so is it a peripheral for the Wii? Like, what's the shtick? All that jazz. So, yeah, I know. Give me 5 minutes. Either way, folks, we are going to cut it there, and you can join us on the post-credit show where we will be talking about games we've played, movies we've watched, and other sort of nerd stuff we have done. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, please like us, do whatever it is that you can do on whatever format you're watching us on. You can also go to barrelrollnews.com, where you can find out all sorts of things. Look, I can play this thing. Oh, no, I can't play that thing, apparently. The video's not there. Fine, be that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out on those sites and all that stuff. You can also join us on our Discord. I'm throwing that into the chat if that button works, which it tells me it did, but it's not working, so that's fine too. Whatever. Either way, barrelrollnews.com is where you can find all of this stuff. We'll see you in about 5 minutes while we recombobulate things and all that for the post-credit show. See you then.